Tonight's homework is to read the Student Reader Natural Selection, Part 2. In the table of contents, Section 2, Selecting Traits, starts on page 10. Flip to page 10. Two, Selecting Traits. Main ideas. The theory of natural selection states that the organisms best adapted to survive pass on their genes to the next generation. An organism that has many new adaptations may become a new species. All organisms are connected by common ancestors. Why are there giraffes? There was a time, millions of years ago, when there were no giraffes. Instead, horse-like creatures with checkered spots and short necks roamed the African grasslands. There wasn't much food for the short-necked animals to eat. A ground shrub was a rare find. All of the food was high in the trees. Not all of the short-necked creatures could reach the trees. Only those with the longest necks could reach the bottommost branches. The individuals with the shortest necks had to compete for a little bit of ground food. Some were no longer able to get enough food and died off. With each generation, necks grew longer and longer until all of the animals could eat from the tallest trees in Africa. This slow change from the short-necked to the long-necked giraffe is an example of natural selection. Natural selection is a theory that organisms best adapted to their environments survive and transmit their genes to succeeding generations through their offspring. A giraffe's long neck is an adaptation that helped its ancestors find food. A giraffe also has a strong tongue to rip food off of tree branches, large ears and eyes to sense predators, and spots to help camouflage it in the African savanna habitat. Giraffes that live today have these traits because their ancestors survived and produced offspring. Giraffes without these traits no longer exist. More than 99% of all organisms that have ever existed are now extinct. Living things are forever racing with nature to find new ways to survive. The slow buildup of adaptations that leads to a new species, like the long-necked giraffe, is called evolution. What is evolution? The scientist who is credited with the theory of natural selection and evolution is the English naturalist Charles Darwin, 1809 to 1882. As a young man, Darwin set off on a worldwide journey on a ship named the HMS Beagle. His job on the ship was to make observations and collect samples of animals and plants from different places. Darwin was most curious about what traits animals in different locations have and don't have in common. He was very interested in a group of finches that lived on the Galapagos Islands off the western coast of South America. He observed that there were about a dozen different finch species living on the island, and that each species had a beak specific to its diet. The finches' beaks made Darwin wonder where new species come from. The finches seemed to have descended from one common ancestor. In the know, evidence of common descent. Scientists have found several physical and cellular similarities between organisms classified in the same family. Most mammals, for example, share a limb shape that is used for many different functions. Below is the same type of structure used in different animals: bat, flying; monkey, grasping; whale, swimming; horse, running; mole, digging; and anteater, tearing. Section 2. Try this on your own. Optional extra credit to exceed the standards. Write. Choose an animal that exists today. Write a fictional story about how the animal developed its various traits. For example, discuss how the parrot got its colors, the rhinoceros got its horn, or the lion got its mane. Remember, many new traits come from environmental pressures, such as predators, climate, or food. Question. What does it mean to be related to somebody or someone? Do you or any of your other family members have ancestors in common? Research. Look at nonfiction books or websites about Charles Darwin. Learn more about his voyage aboard the HMS Beagle and how people reacted to the theory that new species come from old species. Think about why his idea may not have been widely accepted. Hypothesize. Think about all of the environmental pressures that animals face today, such as pollution and a warming climate. What adaptations would help a plant or animal survive in a world with humans? The glossary. 1. Adaptation, a trait that helps an organism survive. 2. Common ancestor, an organism from which other organisms descended. For example, a grandmother is the common ancestor of 2 cousins. 3. Evolution, the slow buildup of adaptations that leads to a new species. 4. Gene, a specific pattern of nucleotides, a code, that create a specific protein or trait, coded in DNA. 5. Heredity, the passing on of traits from parents to children. 6. Mutation, a change in a gene that creates a new trait. 7. Natural selection, the theory that organisms best adapted to their environments survive and transmit their genes to succeeding generations through their offspring. 8. Trait, an identifying characteristic of an organism, can be inherited and or environmental. For example, human traits include hair color, freckles, height, and color blindness.